Look, America is like the best idea the world ever came up with. But Donald Trump is potentially the worst idea that happened to America. Potentially. Could destroy it.
Bono just spilled some serious tea about Trump, and wow, this is not your typical celebrity political rant. The U2 frontman was caught on tape saying what he really thinks about Trump's 2024 plans. Turns out even our sunglasses-wearing rock star tried to be diplomatic at first, saying he can talk to both sides. But then he completely abandoned that ship when discussing what Trump might do to our planet. Orange Man's plans apparently made Mr. Beautiful Day see nothing but stormy weather ahead. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button?
Of what we're saying, because America's not just a country. Ireland's a nice country. Great Britain's a great country. All the rest of it. It's not an idea. America is an idea, and that idea is bound up in justice and equality for all.
Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Never wonder what rock stars really think about politicians when the cameras are off. Well, Bono's been playing nice in public, but the mask is slipping. When it comes to celebrity diplomats, Bono practically wrote the handbook. For decades, the U2 frontman has mastered the art of schmoozing with politicians from both sides of the aisle. He's like that friend who somehow manages to stay in everyone's good graces at a family reunion where half the relatives aren't speaking to each other. Remember those iconic photos of Bono chumming it up with President George W. Bush? While most rock stars were busy protesting the Iraq War, Bono was in the Oval Office discussing AIDS relief in Africa. Talk about zigging when everyone else was zagging. The two unlikely pals managed to channel billions into fighting the global AIDS epidemic. Bush later called him a real activist who cared deeply about important issues. Not exactly what you'd expect from a rock star Republican president relationship, right?
And this you know, I think of Emma Lazarus. Those lines: "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free."
But that's Bono's whole shtick. He's made a career out of finding common ground with everyone from Nancy Pelosi to Mike Pence. In interviews, he loves dropping his favorite diplomatic line: "You just need one thing to agree with somebody on to start a conversation." It's basically the political equivalent of that "I'm not like other celebrities" attitude. And his approach has paid off. Over the years, Bono has convinced politicians from both parties to support initiatives like debt relief for developing nations and increased funding for global health programs. When most celebrities were busy boycotting certain politicians, Bono was in there working his magic, collecting photo ops with senators and presidents alike. Even when Trump first came on the scene, Bono tried to stick to his diplomatic playbook. In early interviews, he went out of his way to seem understanding toward Trump voters, saying things like, "I have so much respect for a lot of people who voted Trump into office." Classic Bono, keeping those lines of communication open, staying above the partisan fray, all while rocking those signature tinted glasses. It's almost comical watching early footage of Bono discussing Trump. You can practically see the internal struggle playing across his face as he tries to maintain his diplomatic persona. There's this pained smile, a hesitation between words, as if he's mentally calculating exactly how to phrase things without burning bridges. The rock star trying desperately to be the adult in the room. But here's where things get interesting. If you watch recent interviews closely, you'll notice something shift in Bono's carefully constructed diplomatic mask. His expression changes, the diplomatic smile fades, the carefully chosen words become more pointed, and in one particularly revealing moment, after spending several minutes acknowledging Trump voters' concerns, Bono's tone suddenly shifts. However, everything's different now. His entire body language transforms. Leaning forward, voice dropping an octave, those famous sunglasses seemingly unable to hide the concern in his eyes. It's like watching someone who's been holding their breath finally exhale. The diplomatic celebrity act starts cracking under the weight of whatever he really wants to say. For a guy who's built his political reputation on finding common ground with everyone from dictators to democracy advocates, this visible shift speaks volumes. The breaking point comes when Bono flat out declares, "The game has changed with Trump. Not politics as usual, not challenging, but workable, but a fundamental change to the rules of engagement." Coming from the king of political fence sitting, that's like a restaurant critic spitting out their food mid-review. What makes this so remarkable isn't just what Bono's saying, it's that Bono is saying it at all. This is the same guy who found nice things to say about some of the world's most controversial leaders, who maintained cordial relationships with the Bush administration while most of Hollywood was in full protest mode. When a professional diplomat like Bono starts breaking character, maybe it's time to pay attention. Turns out there's one thing even master diplomat Bono can't spin positively: Trump's relationship with the struggling Americans who voted for him. While Bono might have found common ground with Bush, his empathy has limits when it comes to the orange showman. Let's be clear, Bono isn't attacking Trump voters. In fact, he relates to them on a personal level. I understand the anger. I have some of that anger myself, coming from where we came from. Bono admits, it's a surprising moment of connection between a global superstar and the factory workers of Pennsylvania. The Irish rocker who grew up in working-class Dublin apparently gets why people might have checked Trump's name on the ballot. But that's where the understanding stops and the alarm bells start ringing. Because while Bono might sympathize with voter frustration, he's not buying what Trump's selling. Just picture this: sad-faced supporters at Trump rallies, desperately hoping their guy will deliver on those grand promises of bringing back jobs and making America great again. Meanwhile, Bono's watching with those perpetually hidden eyes, his face twisted with genuine concern. What's eating at Bono isn't just Trump's policies, it's the massive disconnect between Trump's golden toilet lifestyle and the people struggling to make ends meet who somehow think he's their champion. I don't think there's any evidence in his life that he has the people who are hardest hit in mind, Bono points out, his voice heavy with disappointment. Seriously, have you seen Trump's idea of relating to the working class? The man who was born with a silver spoon, upgraded it to gold, then claimed he built it all himself from scratch. The guy whose idea of roughing it is when the golf cart batteries run low? There's Trump, standing in his gold-plated penthouse, promising to fight for the little guy while probably not knowing the current price of milk or bread. Meanwhile, the average Trump voter is watching their healthcare costs skyrocket and their factory jobs disappear. Trump promises coal miners their jobs are coming back, while energy experts facepalm in unison. There's a genuine sadness in watching people put their faith in someone who's never had to choose between medicine and food or worry about making rent. This disconnect hits Bono right in the feels. That really saddens me, he confesses, and you can hear the genuine emotion in his voice. This isn't some celebrity doing the standard orange man bad routine. This is a guy who spent decades working with politicians of all stripes suddenly going off script because he can't stomach the deception anymore. What makes this especially painful for Bono is that he sees Trump exploiting the very real pain of Americans who deserve better solutions. Trump rallies feature people desperate for change, for someone to acknowledge their struggles. But according to Bono, Trump only wants to see their faces in the crowd without caring who they are when they go home. Think about it. Trump campaigns in struggling towns, gets the applause, boards his private jet, and flies back to Mar-a-Lago without a second thought about whether his policies will actually help the people cheering for him. He wants their votes, not their well-being. It's like a twisted concert where the performer gets the audience to pay for tickets, merch, and parking, then plays 3 songs before disappearing with the cash. The contrast couldn't be more stark. Trump's gold-plated everything versus the rusted-out factories of the Midwest. His private jets versus families who can't afford basic health care. His bankruptcies that made him richer versus regular folks whose bankruptcies destroy their lives. And all the while, he's claiming to be their voice, their champion, their last hope. While Trump plays champion to the Rust Belt, Bono isn't just sad anymore, he's scared. And when the guy who hugged George W. Bush starts warning about nuclear weapons, maybe we should listen. Bono's criticism goes way beyond just being disappointed with the Orange Menace. He's drawing a moral line in the sand. I took a position on Donald Trump as a matter of conscience, Bono stated, making it crystal clear this isn't just about politics anymore. It's about right and wrong. That's a pretty big deal coming from a guy who usually plays nice with everybody wearing a fancy suit in Washington. See, this is what makes Bono's Trump takedown so spicy. He's not trashing Republicans as a whole. In fact, he goes out of his way to say he has huge respect for the party, which makes his Trump exception all the more brutal. It's like saying, I love your family, just not that one weird uncle who might burn the house down. The really juicy part is when Bono straight up questions whether Trump should be anywhere near the big red nuclear button. Can you imagine? The dude who wrote Beautiful Day is worried about our actual beautiful days being numbered if Trump gets back into office. Bono didn't mince words when he said having someone with zero experience in charge during a really difficult moment in world history might be going too far. That's rockstar code for holy crap, we're all gonna die. And let's just pause to appreciate the nuclear bomb Bono dropped when he said, "I haven't got my finger on the nuclear arsenal." Translation, I'm just a rock star with weird sunglasses. But even I know better than to let that guy near weapons that could end civilization. When a celebrity who normally sticks to diplomatic niceties starts talking about nuclear weapons, you know things have gotten serious. You can almost see Bono's sunglasses sliding down his nose in concern as he contemplates a second Trump term. The man who's negotiated with dictators and dined with presidents is genuinely alarmed about Trump's potential return to power. This isn't celebrity virtue signaling, it's a global statesman raising a red flag. What's fascinating is how Bono tries to offer Trump voters an off-ramp. He suggests Republicans should look for local representatives who more fairly represent what's going on around you. That's Bono speak for surely there's someone in your party who isn't a narcissistic nightmare. He's basically setting up a political intervention, trying to help Republicans find candidates who actually care about their problems instead of just exploiting them. This is where Bono hits the high note in his anti-Trump aria. He makes it abundantly clear that Trump isn't just a threat to America. He's a danger to the entire planet. It's very important to the whole world who sits in the Oval Office. Bono warns, remember, this is coming from someone who's worked on global poverty, disease, and climate change for decades. He's seen firsthand how American leadership impacts every corner of the earth. When Bono says it matters to the whole world, he's not being dramatic. He's seen how US policy affects children in Africa, climate refugees in Asia, and conflict zones across the globe. The man has literally sat in rooms where life or death decisions about global aid are made. So when he suggests Trump might not be the best person to lead those meetings, maybe we should take that seriously. The wild thing is how far Bono has come from his usual let's all get along approach. For him to publicly declare opposing someone as a matter of conscience is like your super chill friend suddenly yelling fire in a crowded theater. It's so out of character that you immediately know something must really be wrong. So here we are when a rock legend who normally plays nice with everyone from George Bush to dictators around the globe is sounding the alarm about Trump. Maybe we should pay attention. Bono didn't just wake up one day and decide to trash Trump for album sales. This is a guy who literally wears rose-colored glasses looking at the world, and even he can't find the silver lining here. Look, celebrities say dumb stuff all the time. We know that. But when the diplomatic rock star who spent more time in the White House than some president starts breaking his both sides code, that's like seeing your super chill teacher finally lose it in class. Something serious is happening, and the Orange Menace wants another shot at running America into the ground, and Bono's basically telling us the whole world is holding its breath. So maybe next time someone says it's just politics, remind them that even the sunglasses at night guy is freaking out.